Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of the SoCal Sports Dudes podcast. Jason Wen here. Today I want to talk a little bit about the Lakers, come up with a Laker report for you guys. Today is Friday the 13th, January 13th of 23, so you all are set to enjoy an extended weekend with Martin Luther King weekend here coming up. Thank you for tuning in. Before we get started, please press like, subscribe, and provide some comments in the comment section below so we can help grow this channel. Today, I just wanted to touch base real quick, as I said, on the Lakers. They're last time I reported on, they had a 5-game winning streak. Things are looking pretty good. Of course, the game right after that, they were going to Dallas. To Denver in the altitude, and that's always a tough one to go play up there. Of course, that one they sat. Of course, LeBron sat, and they didn't. They hung in there. I thought they were kind of scrappy, and they took the loss, but at least they made it competitive there. Then they came home and they got beat last night by Dallas in double overtime. I mean, I was just like, one that I would have loved to have seen them, steal that win. Dallas, a team that a couple nights ago, the Clippers, handled by 15, 20 points. So, but I mean, the Lakers shot 24% from three, 39% from the field. The Mavs were at 50%. Big night, of course, for Luka, 35, 14, and 13. Of course, he played 53 minutes, man. A lot of their starters were carrying a lot of the load there. Christian Wood had a good game, 24, 14, 6 assists. He played 48 minutes too, so a lot of minutes for them. So, yeah, LeBron, solid. Westbrook off the bench, solid, but didn't really get performances from T. Bryant's minutes were down a little bit. Dennis Schroeder kind of pulled a vanishing act there all of a sudden. I was like, where's been the guy that we were seeing scoring, 25, putting up 30 points a game here? We could have used a little more contribution from him. Max Christie lately has been contributing, coming in and playing some minutes, but tough matchup there. Got to play a team that's most likely headed for the playoffs there in Dallas. And I would have thought, though, that a lot of the pressure or the burden was on Dallas' starters, and they pulled out the win in double overtime there. So Lakers now 19 and 23. As I said, lost 2 straight after that nice little 5-game winning streak. So now the next up, they got to play Philly. So that's probably going to be a tough one there. You're going to have your hands full, but you never know. Just come out there and bring it. Philly, of course, took a beating the other day. Was that Oklahoma? Crushed them by 20-something points, 30 points. After that, they got Houston and Sac back-to-back, and then Memphis comes to town. So 4 straight home games here. 3 of those, of course, or maybe even 2 of the 4. 2 of them sound pretty winnable, but maybe you can steal one of the other ones with either a win against Philly or a win against Memphis. You go on the road once to play Portland, then you come home to play the Clippers in San Antonio before heading off on the road for a 5-game trip late in the month. Of course, we're still without Anthony Davis. That might have been maybe a different result last night. Anthony Davis was in there, so would have been, of course, he's out with the foot. But it looks like he's making progress. Should be coming back here middle of the month, it looks like, sometime soon. Austin Reeves, Lonnie Walker still out. Troy Brown was kind of gimpy, but he stepped in and played there and helped out. But, Lakers, that's a little bit of a letdown there after that nice streak they had, but they're still competitive. They're still that game really could have went either way last night. So it's unfortunate they take the loss for it, but we got to at least feel good that they're competing. They're working hard out there. So some of the latest rumors, I'll talk real quick. They were scheduled to work out a couple of players. Leonard, former solid big man, but made some inappropriate comments that have kind of gotten him in some hot water around the league, and Miami moved on from him, traded him, I believe, to OKC in the move, and OKC just kind of bought him out. Since then, nobody's touched him. Gifted player, 7-foot guy who got the ability to stretch the floor a little bit and be able to hit outside shots. I mean, talent-wise, looks like a good guy that would warrant some consideration, but if he's going to have baggage, and if he hasn't, he's going to make comments like that, you have to be kind of careful with the public relations stuff to not bring players on board who are going to kind of disrupt the chemistry that the team seems to be enjoying. Boogie Cousins, a guy who, of course, was on our side, but never really played much because he was hurt. I think we saw him, briefly in preseason and training camp, and then he was hurt, never out for the year. We ended up signing Dwight Howard to fill that role, won the championship, had to move on from Boogie. Boogie finally recovers from his injury and, ends up going to Denver and Milwaukee and the Clippers for a little bit. We'll see how much, what if they do make that move and sign him. Of course, a guy who can shoot outside. Also a former worked well with Anthony Davis in the past, so there's that to go off of. But he's just not quite as agile as he was before all the injuries. But as a backup big, Wenyen Gabriel's been solid in that role. He's kind of probably more of a power forward playing center. Damian Jones, man, they just have not called on him off the bench, and it's like they're looking to add some depth there at the big man spot. So those are two names that you're seeing out there. Of course, trade rumors or the latest on that is they're still chatting with Detroit about Bogdanovic, who, of course, will give us that outside shooting that we need. 33-year-old averaging 21 points, 3.5 rebounds, almost 3 assists. Now I'm reading just read recently that the deal may include Nerlens Noel, so they would give you a big. Of course, he's not a guy who can stretch the floor, but good defensive player, can protect the rim, catch lobs, things like that. Noel came out of Kentucky. He was pretty hot commodity there. Now he's still only 28 years old. It seems like he's been around forever, but he'd be a guy that maybe is included in the deal. I don't know what his contract still calls for. And then the other thing, as I've said before, what is the price? I mean, give up maybe a first, top 15 protected. I mean, I'd like to say I'm not only give up a high lottery pick for this if it ends up being that. Maybe middle of the pack, middle first rounder, later first rounder. I'm cool with that. Throw in a second. I mean, to make the deal happen. Hey, I think because Bogdanovic, man, even though he's getting a little up there in years, if he bring an outside shooter like him on board, it'd be like, whew, finally we have a guy that we can count on that can drain threes, because it's just the composition of this roster doesn't have like the pure shooters. I mean, Cole Swider now is a guy that we like as Laker fans. We saw him in Summer League doing some good things from downtown, but how polished is he? How ready is he to play? And how much can Darvin Ham rely on him? And how many minutes can he really give him? I don't know yet. He's making progress. I'm sure he's got a lot of upside, but if you need a guy who's going to be more ready to plug and play now, maybe making a move for a guy like Bogdanovic makes a lot of sense. Also, we're hearing that they're still monitoring the Cam Reddish situation there with the Knicks. Sounds like the Knicks has dropped their price a little bit on that and is now willing to consider second rounders. I'm like, if you get them for the second rounders instead of them having these visions of grandeur and say, oh, give us only first round picks, we'll make the trade. It's like, this guy's sitting on your bench, man. You get second rounders, I think, would be a solid return on a player who's just sitting on the bench. We could use a guy like that, though, 6'8" guy who's lengthy, can, play some of the long 3-and-D type of guy that we kind of need, and play that role there to defend other players in that size range, because we got mostly 6'5" guys, Austin Reeves and Troy Brown and JTA. They're a little undersized compared to a guy like Reddish, that gives you a little more length. I think more of a true 3. Maybe he can play some light minutes at the 4 there type. And he obviously had a lot of highly regarded coming out of Duke, and a lot of upside there. So kind of showed some of that early in his career in Atlanta. Of course, got traded to the Knicks, and he's kind of slowly slid into disfavor there. So if they move on from him and the Lakers can get him for the right price, second rounders, I'd be willing to talk there. Then of course the other names around the league, the same ones we've kind of talked about before. Do the Lakers get involved in any of those? I don't know. The Bulls ones, the Bulls are starting to do a little better now, so I don't know how legit some of those rumors are, and how it's just noise out there and just a bunch of lip service out there, people talking about trade him, trade that guy. Oh, everyone's involved in every trade out there. But, Charlotte, of course, we've talked about Indiana before. I'd be kind of okay with some of it if the price was right, because I'd love to have a combo of Turner and Hield, because Hield can hit the threes. Turner, we're looking at big guys. Might as well try to, if we can scoop up Turner for the right price, I'd be on board with that. Utah, Clarkson is a guy that has been mentioned. He's not really the pure 3-point threat, but a guy who can, score off the bench, and really has come a long way, man, since we had him back in the day with our squad. He, obviously was a later second-round pick that we made, and he got some minutes, was very productive. But that was, when before LeBron, we were a younger team that was still not winning very much or doing very well in the standings. So, you move on from Clarkson, he kind of blossoms afterward, and it happens sometimes, man. When you trade a guy, they get the minutes and the less pressure of having to be the team hero or savior, then they could blossom somewhere else. So we've seen that with Kuzma, saw it with Clarkson, a number of other guys. Brandon Ingram now is kind of, was a guy that I always would love to have held on to, but he was part of the AD trade. Josh Hart, Julius Randle, the list goes on and on. Larry Nance, guys that Zoo's another guy, was not happy when we dealt him. But anyway, if we, Cam Reddish is a guy that maybe we get here, he fits our roster and our needs a little bit more. I think that would be a good guy to go get. But yeah, if you guys have any suggestions who maybe we should look at in the trade market, that would make sense. I think the Lakers, of course, are trying to be mindful of giving up too much, and they don't want to be just giving away all their first rounders. They want to be smart about it. They want to also be well positioned to be able to stay flexible both financially and with the draft. So that way they can have not too many long-term commitments that are going to hold them down for, the years ahead and stuff. So, yeah, I'd love to hear what you guys have to say about that. Leave some comments there. We can talk about it in the next one. So just want to come real quick with a Lakers report. Thank you for tuning in. And, yeah, we'll see you again soon. All right, go Lakers.